Quiet Reflection, the Garden of Quiet Reflection. There's some nice walkways in there, some nice benches. Lots of trees from Asia, some great shade trees in there. You might see the hackberry tree or the pomegranate or the Chinese flame trees or soapberry trees. There's a sundial in there if you want to find out what time it is. And on the left-hand side, the Grace Callum Perennial Garden with a catalpa tree here on your left. And look at these, right on the corner here, the justicia, or the shrimp plants from Mexico. Shrimp plants from Mexico. We got the Chinese snowball tree there on your left. One or two little white flowers on it. That's really pretty when it's in full bloom. Got some sage on the left also. And on the right, this tree is a chestnut tree from India. All right, we're approaching Mayberg Waterfall. This is our man-made waterfall. Built 1969, the year of the moon landing. They do a lot of photography here, wedding photography, quinceañeras. They've done music videos here. You might know some of the artists who have performed here. How about... oh yeah, the astronaut, Katy Perry. She did her Roar video here. That's back when she had a music career. Beyonce did her Survivor video here. How about the name Jason Derulo? Look up his Acapulco video. You'll recognize that waterfall. Lots of other people have performed here. All right. On the left-hand side, the Hemerocallis, or the California daylilies. And of course, you got some California poppies there. And on the right-hand side, we've got the 1.5 acre herb garden with, quite a variety. We got a California chestnut tree on the right. You've got some fried eggplants or the Matilla poppies on the right. You got the desert willow, the pink flower. You got some sage, you got California buckwheat, you've got a elderberry plant up here. You got rosemary, lavender, and a Chinese camphor tree on the corner here. Camphor, you're familiar with, it's in a lot of those medicated rubs like mixed maple rub, maybe. And straight ahead, our Crescent Farm. This is an area of, they're doing a lot of water conservation techniques. This used to be all grass, and they pulled that out. They're building up habitats here. They're enriching the soil. There's a bee garden in there. They do things like lasagna mulching. How about that? They're growing some very great vegetables in here, plants. the Crescent Farm. All right, coming up on the left, one of our historical buildings. This is the Coach Barn. This dates back to the year 1879. It was built by good old Elias Lucky Baldwin. That was built with cedar and redwood. You can take a walk in there. They've restored his horse-drawn English passenger carriage that's on display in there. You'll also see some of the horse stalls in that little barn area. There's some great photos in there also taken during the Baldwin era. Baldwin was quite a colorful character. He was the most famous owner of this property. We'll talk about him a little bit more. He was the one that founded the city of Arcadia, where we are. He brought thoroughbred racing into Southern California. He loved horse racing. And on the right-hand side, again, the other section of the herb garden. On the left, the Rose of Sharon. That's a hibiscus, or the Hibiscus syriacus from the Middle East. Beautiful flower. The Rose of Sharon. All right, we're going to head up the hill towards the Engelmann Oak Grove and the Biblical Garden. We'll go by some ginkgo biloba trees here on your left from China, some of the oldest trees on Earth. And some timber bamboo from China on your left. And the elephant foot trees from Mexico on the right. With some Palo Verde trees on the right also. We got some Texas sage on the right. And now on both sides you see the Engelmann oak trees. These are the native California oaks, very prominent in the San Gabriel Valley for hundreds of years. They unfortunately are on the endangered species list, however, so as you look to the right you see little flags or cages. We're planting new Engelmann oaks here, trying to keep the grove alive. This is really the last remaining large natural stand of Engelmann oaks left in the LA basin. So we want to preserve these trees as best we can. Well, I mentioned earlier the Arboretum is 127 acres. That was just a very small fraction of a 13,000 acre tract of land that was called Rancho Santa Anita. And Rancho Santa Anita was originally an agricultural outpost of Mission San Gabriel. So all this territory dates back to the time of the missions and of course the Tongva Indians before that. There's some citrus trees on your left. You might see orange or limes or grapefruit. Well, eventually the mission lands became privatized and they went into private ownership. The first private owner of that whole Rancho Santa Anita, was a gentleman by the name of Hugo Reed, who was ironically from Scotland. was a world traveler, educated at Cambridge, very colorful gentleman. Ends up in California through a series of circumstances. He eventually meets and marries a Tongva Indian woman by the name of Victoria, becomes a naturalized citizen of Alta California, or Mexico at the time. And he was eventually deeded that first Rancho Santa Anita, all 13,000 acres, by Pio Pico, the famous governor of Alta California. All right, we're heading up into our South American section, tropical zone. Here's a red powder puff on the left, or the Caliandra plant. Also here on the left, the tree with the yellow flowers, that's an oleander from Peru. And you might see some orchid trees to the left, a little farther back from Asia, although you won't see as many flowers this time of year. You gotta see them a little bit earlier in the spring. Right about here on the left, we have some silver palms from Mexico.
Oh my god, these like matching bright orange.
And on the left-hand side, coming up, well, also on the right-hand side, the tree with the funny-looking trunk there, that's a silk floss tree from Brazil, Argentina, as are these ones on the left, the silk floss trees. These, again, are the ones that produce that avocado-like seed pod. And inside the seed pod is that white cottony material called kapok, surrounds the seeds of those trees. Silk floss trees from Brazil and Argentina.